I don't apologize for what we say. I want to make sure we understand what we need to do. So I plan to do that in honor of my father, my mother, and my fine wife. Who sent me here with my two daughters. You know, New Orleans is not South Carolina. So I'm grateful for her.
Okay, let's go for it.
Yo, comedian Michael Jr. here. As you know, I just flat out enjoy doing comedy. But one of the things I love way more than that is being a dad. Not too long ago, I'm going through some video footage and I run into this video of my youngest daughter being born. Now, of course, I was there, I actually took the video, but I had never really experienced it from this perspective before. Now look, we're in the hospital room, she's sticky and she's baby and all that stuff, and she's in the middle of crying. And then I speak up, I start talking to her, and watch how she responds when she hears my voice.
It's okay, Portland. Look, I'm right here. It's okay. It's okay. I'm right here. I'm right here. We're doing just fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'm right here. Right here. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay, baby. It's okay.
That was pretty awesome. So check it. A few minutes later, the nurse starts working on her, puts her pamper on her, and I'm not saying anything, and she actually starts to cry again. Then I speak up, she hears my voice, and stops crying, like again. But I want you to notice what else happens after I tell her that I love her.
Portland, it's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's good. It's good. I'm right here. I'm right here. I am right here. I love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah, I'm right here. I'm right here. It's okay. It's okay.
That's just phenomenal. Like, whoa. Here's the thing. We'll always have times where we're not as comfortable, probably even to the point of tears, where life is just heavy. The key thing to do in those moments is to be still and listen for the Father's voice. Because
Somebody help me. What did you see? You can use your voice, your outside voice. What did you see? What did you see? Say it again. The bonding process. Okay, somebody else. A proud dad. Yes. Somebody else. Recognition. What you mean? Yeah. 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 Now, here's a question I have to ask. How long you think that child has heard his voice? How long? Since not at least 9 months. So here's what I want to give credit to. I'm sorry. I'm the kid who was in school that they had to chain me to my seat, you know, so I move a little bit, so I may move. I apologize, brother. But here's what I want to acknowledge. None of that was possible without the mother. On some nights or mornings, she had to be still to allow that man to read to, kiss, touch that belly. I'll say amen to myself on that one. The connection that is important is between both mom and dad. But it takes not one of us, but what? Both of us. Now, I am a father of two. My daughters are 16 and 14. You can pray for me now. Put your hands towards the mic. We went out to eat last night, and the last 2 nights we've been here, my youngest is me. You know, God is funny. My youngest, we go to some restaurant, I forgot what it was, and she says, Dad, I want market price. I said, hold up, boo. I'm on per diem. But they have gotten accustomed to a standard. And I'm so grateful, because I don't want Jimbo to walk in my house think he can get them half off. They need market price. There's a difference. There's a difference. So for the time that I have with you guys, I want to talk about the importance of a father's voice. That video, I've done this work for 20 plus years. I've gone into prisons, I've been in the NFL locker rooms, I've been in the NBA locker rooms, and you don't have to do much after you show that. For the brother who needs to see a visual, that's a visual. You don't have to say much. You can mess it up by talking too much after that video. Here's my family. Obviously, to the bottom right is my fine wife. I've been married to this woman for 25 years. Hashtag grateful. Because when I met her, I was 16 years old in high school. I grew up in the projects in South Carolina. If y'all know project behavior, that was me. I was an athlete. I was kind of cute, you know what I mean? And when you're an athlete and kind of cute, you kind of get your way. And I was a kid who went through school because my mother and my father didn't play. So I was never disruptive in class. I just didn't do my work because I could cute my way through. And at 16 years old, my wife, Sharani, she was then a year ahead of me. We were going to the prom. I don't know if y'all think prom is big, but prom was big for me. My best friend, Ramon Brown, we played football together. He's her classmate. I finished in 92, they finished in 91. Ramon said to me, hey man, Sharani wants to go to the prom with you. Now she was a woman in high school. She wore business suits. Y'all know the briefcase that you do this and the thing pops up. She had a briefcase in high school. I sat over here with the football players and we did nothing but cut up at lunch. So Ramon said, hey man, she said today, come ask her to the prom. So this is my boy. He wouldn't lie to me. So this day I come out, I have on a pair of Bugle Boy jeans. Y'all know Bugle, come on man. I got on my white K-Swiss, you know what I mean? And my Guess t-shirt. Just a little Guess, not the big Guess, the little Guess, right? And I had, I played ball, so I had to roll, the Popeye roll up, you know what I mean? So I walked over to her, I said, her best friend Cicely, since first grade, was sitting in the cafeteria with her. So I lead my boys, they all cheer me on. Ramon is like pumping me up, he's like, yo. So, and I use the smoothest line, and if you guys want to write this down, you can. So I walk literally from this side of the cafeteria to this side to their table. They're reading at lunch. So I scoot over to her. I said, Ramon said you like me. That was it. That's the line. And here's consistently what she's given me when I've made crazy comments all my marriage relation with her. She said, no, sir. And so my boys, so here's the backstory. Ramon was entirely lying to me. It was a joke. So y'all know how God works. So just like y'all laugh, when she did the get out of here, my boys laughed. I walked back, and for some reason, her telling me no, man, I said, okay. You don't see the greatness. So fast forward, and I'll end the story here. Prom is a month away. The next few weeks in the cafeteria, I did not sit with the boys. I started slowly creeping over to their table. And then on this particular day, we used to pay $1.35 for lunch. She was in the line doing this number, trying to find 35 cents. You know your boy. I said, let me take care of the whole $1.35 for you. If you will let me. This is some old Keith Sweat type stuff, you know what I mean? So I grab her pizza, applesauce. Y'all know the lunch. I grab her tray, we go sit down. I said, listen, I really would like to go to the prom with you. Now, true story, I was a D student. In my high school, in my neighborhood, this is the thing about the systems that we interface. In my high school, if you did not have the grades, you couldn't play. The school that I went to lowered the average to a D average, just so we can have a team. So peep this. What do you think the team, me and my teammates strove for? We strove for D's. That ain't personal, that's systemic. You working in a system knowing that after we finish high school, we ain't going nowhere with them D's. So my wife, then potential prom date, she says to me, I would go to the prom with you, but you're too silly. She said, if you're serious, you got to be on your way to college. She's 17, I'm 16. So I said, okay. Nobody in my family had gone to college. I just thought, start applying. Let's see what happens. Now, I told you my GPA. I started applying. This is before email. They was mailing them letters back, rejection letters back quick to me. Finally, she agreed. We went to the prom. After the prom, I can tell she was like, please just let me go in the house. Don't ask me no questions. Let her in the house. The next couple nights, I called and I said, listen, I really enjoyed myself. Everything that I would have tried with my friends from my neighborhood, y'all with me? Homegirl was Chicago Bears defense, okay? And I'm gonna be very transparent. Ramon lied to me again. He said that she wanted to not only go to the prom, but she wanted to. So I rolled up. We had a store called Revco. It was a pharmacy. And we pulled into the Revco. My boy Roland I didn't have a license. Roland drove us to the prom. I pulled into the Revco. I had never bought condoms in my life. So I bought like the value pack. We go to the prom. We leave the prom, and I do this number. I pull out this Rolodex of condoms. And she says to me, no, sir. I'm telling you, if you meet her today, you'll hear her say those words. But here's where I'll close. She had a father. He set a standard. None of the slippery games that I like to play worked because she knew a standard. Her father was 6'4", 270. Look at me. It's not even fair. Every time I met the man, he would shake my hand firmly, look in my eyes, say, it's good to see you. Have a seat. The value of fathers cannot be replaced. We have 2 daughters, as I mentioned. My oldest is a rising senior. My baby girl is a rising sophomore, and they're everything to me and my wife. We, for years, wanted to have children. We had a miscarriage in the first year of our marriage. And I don't know if anybody knows how that feels. 8 years later, I thank God because it brought us closer together. In the moments where I could not tell my boys, I could tell my wife, I feel like crying. And she would say to me, you good. I'm so grateful that the women are in the room today. Because as much as we need brothers, we need y'all. there's no better feeling than my mother says to me, boy, I'm proud of you. It fixes my heart. Boy, you did it. When I finished college, first in my family, I'm gonna tell you, the bus pulled up with my family, T-shirts and everything. My mother hugged me and whispered, she said, boy, you did it. Filled my spirit. When my wife says to me, boy, you're doing it. I'm proud of you. I see you, baby. Words matter. Words matter. Successfully, we've written a couple of children's books. Some of you guys, as I've been the last couple of days, have seen this one, which we celebrate because it was a joy for my daughters and I to write together, but it's something that we didn't write for sales, we wrote it for souls. I really wanted to put something in men's hands that allowed them to connect with their children. My father is on the screen here. This is a picture from 1975. He had just come out of incarceration. My dad was a man that grew up in South Carolina, born in 1948. He was a very dark-skinned man. My dad was a very small man, very muscular. Any of the ugly black words that people use for dark-skinned black folks, he's heard them. My dad was a man that carried pain in his eyes. His eyes were always red. And as a father now, I recognize that behind his eyes was pain. As a boy growing up, I grew up in a family of four. I have an older sister, 6 years older. I have an older brother, 4 years older. I have a younger brother, 4 years younger. I'm the third of four. We grew up in the projects. My dad was the only brother in like 5 buildings, 60 units, 5 buildings this way, 5 buildings. My dad was the only father in those proximity. There were men, but there were no fathers. There were guys that stopped by but there were no fathers. So Mr. Pat was what they called him. So when a stranger walked through my neighborhood, they would say, go get Mr. Pat. Because my dad didn't finish 8th grade. He spent many years in and out of incarceration. He was a stick-up guy. And he tells a story about him and his brothers going into places, and if you had something they wanted, they would brandish their little piece, and they would take it. Sometimes they won those situations. Sometimes they got incarcerated. But he was a man who didn't fear things because he didn't know how long he was going to live. But Mr. Pat was a man also that didn't take no wooden nickels. He would tell me and my brothers, when you leave here, you're going to look like somebody. I have never had a Jerry curl in my life. I've always had this haircut. I wanted a box. I wanted the Gumby. Y'all know what the Gumby is? The Bobby Brown? I wanted the Bobby Brown. My dad wouldn't. He cut our hair. My hairline is back now, but he used to, he wasn't a barber, you know what I mean? But my father was a man that was misunderstood. And the older I've gotten, the more I understand him. My dad grew up in a time where his father was a man that had 2 families. You know what I mean when I say that? And people knew it. Family on this side of town, family on this side of town. You talking about black families, we have lived through some trauma because we found a way to make that okay. I think about my grandmother all the time. She knew he had another family. Think about going to bed every night knowing what you have ain't yours. The trauma. My father, through age 14, worked 3 jobs. We lived in the projects. At the age of 15, my father decided to apply for a job at a factory in my hometown. And this factory was Coca-Cola. And if you had work ethic, you could get a job there. They didn't ask for degrees, but if you got this job, they had benefits. You were on your way. After 1 year working this job, my father became a manager. A manager, after 1 year. We moved from Saxon Homes, my neighborhood, to a neighborhood called Bonneville Estates. Y'all hear that? Bonneville Estates. Now, we were renting a house, don't tell nobody. But we had a 3-bedroom house with a carport, front yard, backyard. And I will never forget this because it's how I got to be here today. My father, after this year, was invited to a program just like this to be recognized. And as he was going to this banquet, I'll never forget, Calvin, I got to ask you, come here for a second, please. I'll never forget my mother saying to my dad, you got to look the part. So my dad never wore a jacket. He never wore a collared shirt. Everything was a uniform. And I will never forget this day. Give Calvin a hand, please. I will never forget the day that my mother set me and my younger brother on the bed. I'm 15, my younger brother's 11. And my mom dressed my father, and she tied his tie, which he had never worn a tie. And as she tied his tie, we sitting on the bed, she says to my father, she said, Pat, I'm proud of you. And my father had this lump in his throat. And as my brother and I were watching, my mother's words were sincere. His eyes welled. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And for some reason, I cannot forget this moment, the lump that was forming, he pushed it down. And she's this close to him, and I'm watching the lump that formed. He swallowed it. Thank you. Appreciate it. I now understand what happened, but then I didn't, because I'm thinking, this was beautiful. My dad goes to the banquet. He leaves the banquet. For years prior to me being born, my dad was a user or smoker, and he did all kinds of things. But all of my childhood, I never saw him high. He smoked cigarettes. He didn't drink beer or nothing. He abstained for 14 years. He goes to the banquet. He leaves the banquet. He goes back through our old neighborhood, and he gets up with his boy named Thad. Somebody say Thad. Thad is his cellmate. Thad is his boy from childhood. Thad is the guy that says to him, yo, man, let's go over there and get it. My dad pulls up. Thad and the boys are still knocking down what they knocked down. My dad hadn't drank, hadn't smoked anything illegal in 14 years. Thad says to my father, hey, Pat, we see you got the little plaque. You know when they say little, y'all know the game? So you got your little plaque and you in your little house and everything, Dad says to my dad, hey, we got to celebrate. Y'all with me? So my dad, I'm a father now. So as I was out last night in New Orleans, my thought every time I go out with my family is I got to get home. My wife needs me, my children need me, my mama needs me, So Thad says to him, Pat, man, we got to celebrate. And y'all know what celebrate means. And so Thad says that to my dad. My dad told me the story several times. Thad has told me the story. My dad said, man, I'm good. Here's the first thing I want you to know. Sometimes when a brother says I'm good, he's not. So the boys are circling my dad, and they calling him blah, blah, blahs. Y'all know what blah, blah, blah is, right? You can't call me no blah, blah, blah. Those are fighting words. So Thad says to my dad, man, don't be no blah, blah, blah. Nah. Don't tell me you done got over there in Bonneville Estates and you done turned into a blah, blah, blah. And my dad said, wait a minute now. I'm still Pat. And so my dad said, but I'm good. I got to work tomorrow. I got to get home to these boys. And then here's the last trick that Thad tried, and it works for some of us. He said, oh, you think you're better than us. Y'all know that trick? My dad said, let's do this. He said, hey, man, I will have one beer with y'all. And after this, I'm gone. Now, I'm 15, I'm in 10th grade, I got football practice tomorrow. My brother's 11, he's in middle school, so my dad drinks 1 beer, and then what happens? And then what happens? Yeah. 14 years of sobriety. No AA, no NA, none of that stuff. Him and the Lord. In my neighborhood, a party and a party until you bring out some top paper. Y'all know what top paper is? Google it if you don't know what it is. I ain't gonna get into that. But they rolling, some reefer. Y'all remember them terms? Ganja. Gas. I was in a prison in Ohio about 2 months ago, and they were calling it Zaza. I'm thinking Zaza Gabor. They on some other stuff. So they start smoking marijuana, Mary Jane, brown sugar. Y'all know the words. Broccoli. I do this because I got kids. I don't need them talking about broccoli in front of me, and they talking about something else, right? So they knocking down a couple joints. My man brings out a brown bag. The hard stuff. The stuff that makes cars run. You know what I mean? They start knocking down some of that hard liquor. And then because of my neighborhood, if you really a G, you bring out needles. So they pop out this needle. My dad's told me this story. It's 100% facts. They load up heroin. They tap the arm. My dad loads it up. And in his words, it didn't do what it normally does. It's called tolerance. So Thad, being the good friend that he is, he reloads. My dad takes his second hit and he collapses. I'm 15, I got practice tomorrow. My brother's 11, he's in middle school. My mom sent him off with the words that you need to give a man. I'm proud of you. So my dad didn't come home for 3 days. As I think about being 15 at the time, I do remember going to bed but not going to sleep. All I knew was my dad. Everybody in the neighborhood knew my dad. He comes home, the clothes that my mom helped him get dressed in, the tie is untied, the shirt is. He changed into his uniform, he goes back to Coca-Cola, and in 30 minutes he's back at the house. What happened? Yeah. 2 months later, the man who owned the house in Bonneville Estates, he said, hey man, I'm trying to work with y'all. Y'all know the story. But I got other folks that want to live in Bonneville Estates. We had a wash and dryer for the first time in our house. We used to go to laundromat. Y'all know laundromat? Quarters. Y'all know. I'm talking duffel bag of quarters. Miss Janie, can you take your towels out? We're just trying to wash these last little bit of underwear, all right? My father somehow stole our wash and dryer. The first pair of Jordans I ever had, I came home from football practice one day. What? Gone. My younger brother, toys, He-Man, all of these toys that we wanted so bad as young children, we finally have. You come home, they're gone. I tell you this story because my father, in spite of all of that, was still a good man. I've only worked with fathers all my life. What I've learned is that your pain usually directs you to your passion. I was a hurt kid. Just so happened that when that happened is when I got with Shirani. God is amazing, isn't he? There was no drop off. You can clap for that. Yeah, yeah. She's my angel. I make no mistake about it. She's my angel. Because as I was wanting to frown, she made me smile. She gave me a reason. And after 30 years of being with this woman, 25 married, I'm better. I'm grateful. I want to pivot a little bit, and I'm going to come back to my father, but my father is the reason why I do this. Everybody in this room has a father. Everybody has a different father story. I will tell you, after doing this work for many years, in my 20s, if I saw the man, I wanted to fight the man, my father. But I was raised a certain way. My mama didn't play them games. You're going to respect your father. When I got my first internship, I went to Benedict College. It's a small HBCU. I will never forget getting my first blazer and everything. And my mom, the neighborhood I grew up in, my father got high in. So I run into him all the time. My friends ran into him all the time. The dorm director, I get a call to my room. The RA, he called. He said, hey, man, you got somebody down here drunk. He want to see you. It was my father. When I got to my first, real job, the receptionist, Patrick, there's somebody drunk. He's sitting on your car. I'm not sure who it is, but he's calling your name. When I got my first job on the other side of town, where they have security would call me. There's a guy in the lobby. He's drunk. He's asking for you. It was my father. While I thought my father was leaving me, he was trying to stay. Are y'all with me? Connected to me. My father was molested. The way my father got spanked, and I'm going to use the word spanked as a kid, was my grandfather would strip them naked, pillowcase over their head, water hose. Now, you talking about trauma? I'm grateful that he didn't pass that legacy on to us. So why he swallowed? Because he's been trained to swallow. His dad would beat them and tell him, you bet not what. So I think about fathers and why this work is so important. I want to give a couple pieces of research, and then I want to come to a close with a couple points that I want to make. Here's some data on the importance of dads. When you look at and this is all federal, you can go to Head Start's website and you'll find this information as well. I added in one more piece here, but when you see fathers involved, it lowers levels of disruptive behavior in boys. I don't know about you guys, but if my father, when he worked hourly, if he had to clock out of that job to come to the school to address the matter, it was, y'all with me. In my last 2 years of high school, my parents separated. Every now and then, my mother would find a way to get to my dad. She said, come get these boys. My mama is an angel. But there were some things that she couldn't do with us. She needed a little bit more muscle. So fathers are important for boys. With children, research shows that when dads are involved, it improves school readiness. There's nothing like having both parents checking on the homework. I know PTA when I was a kid was MTA. It's like moms. But at my school, my kids go now, they invite dads out. Both of us need to be there. Third thing around research, it improves girls' self-esteem. My wife is a prime example. My father-in-law called her beautiful. He said, you're amazing. You're strong. He poured into her. So she didn't take no wooden nickels. None of the stuff that I did that was really slippery back in the day, it didn't work with her. So it's important that dads are involved with their girls because it improves their self-esteem. Really important here around cognitive development. When dads are involved, and y'all saw the video early on, it shows that the development of kids is improved in the first 24 months. So dads are really important. And then the last one is what I added, is less stress on mothers to do everything. Let the church say amen. My favorite thing to do is to make lasagna. Because when I make lasagna, I make it for 3 days. It's a pan. And why do I do that? My wife loves it so. Because one of the things that she does immediately when she smells it, when she comes in the house, she knows the next 3 days. Guess what? It has gotten better over the years, but the love that she shows me and the appreciation is what continues to make this my favorite thing to do. Not part of the slides, but there are 3 things that men need, and I'm going to say these 3 A's. One is appreciation. Baby, this lasagna, you put your foot in this. It's gas in my tank. It fills me up. She calls her mama. Mama, that boy did it again. Whether it's real or fake, it don't matter. It don't matter. When I was raising, we had our kids, they were young, my wife travels, and I would get them ready for church. And she would say, you got them looking good? Fill my tank. Now, I know people who are like, I ain't telling no man thank you for stuff he should be doing. Y'all ever heard that foolishness? Foolishness! What's the goal? Yeah. But the goal is this. Here's the point. And Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, when I think about why that's difficult for some people, Lauryn Hill, in her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, in one of her songs, she says, how you gonna win? Somebody say it. If you ain't right within. If you're broken, you can't fix nobody. Y'all have seen it said another way. You can't pour from an empty cup. I will speak honestly about this. The only way I've been able to work with fathers is I've had to be healed. I was mad at my daddy. I was hurt. I was disappointed. I had to avail myself to help. Counseling, therapy, listening to his story. Once I heard that man's story, you kind of got to say, oh man, I didn't know. A lot of us have not heard our father's stories. We've heard stories. We ain't never heard his story. And we have lock, stock, and barrel bought what's been told to us. Big breaking news, men have feelings. Can the brothers just clap for me one time? The second A, outside of appreciation, is acknowledgement. If you're working in the office and the father comes in, I've seen people do this over the years. They would say, ooh, baby, look at that little cute baby. Won't even speak to the brother. Or they'll do this. Speak of the devil. That's not a greeting. That's not, I don't feel welcomed. Acknowledgement. Good morning, Patrick. It's good to see you. Know you've been working. Some folks say, look what the cat blew in. Y'all ever heard that? That's not welcoming. One of my things that I know is important for men is acknowledgement. My mother does this to me. I talk to my mom every Sunday night. We sing church songs. She's 73. She's doing dialysis 3 days a week. And all she want to do when she talk to her boys is sing old songs. And I enter, my kids be looking at me like, dude, please go upstairs. But she says to me every time we talk, it's good to hear your voice. Words matter. Acknowledgement. Find a way to acknowledge the brothers with kind words. There's an African proverb that says, you cannot correct me unless you're connected to me. I'll make it plain for you. If I walked into a restaurant and the server says to me, I wear hats all the time. The server says to me, boy, take that hat off. You say, you already know. Yeah. It's going to be a little bit of situation going on. But peep this. If I walked into my grandmother's house and she said the exact same thing, what happens? Okay. What's the difference? There's a connection. A lot of us on site will tell a young man, pull your pants up. We don't even know the boy's name. What I've learned over time is I can connect. And I've used the word correct. That's not the right word, but then you can correct. I've had men who come to me and they are, smell like weed, the whole 9 yards. That's not my first line of business. Man, it's good to see you. How you feeling? When the last time you ate, bro? When he feels that, before I came down here, I do a group every Saturday morning, virtually. We do it in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. Every time we get on, we start off with a thing where we do meditation. And we have a thing called fill the cup. All the guys get to fill the cup. And they start off by saying, I'm just glad to be here. Then you get brothers saying, man, I saw my kids this week. But they have stories too. So I want to make that point. The last one that's really important is appreciation. Thank you so much for taking the trash out. Sounds crazy. Sounds crazy. Thank you for hustling across town to get to this PTA meeting. Those 3 A's are really important for our guys, all right? Last thing that I'll say, and then I'm going to close out. Context. 3 things, working with fathers, particularly black fathers. Socialization. There's a statement that rings true. It says that men are socialized to internalize. Stay with me for this one piece. If there were 2 children at the back of this room, a 4-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, and in my neighborhood, we used to race the block, and somebody would say, on your mark, what did they say? Yeah. If the 2 of them were running to me, boy over here, girl over here, both 4 years old, I said, on your mark, get set, go. And they started running, and they both fell. Let's talk about for 1 second the response to the girl when she falls. She's 4. What do you say? What's said? Oh, come here. I used to beat the ground, don't you hit my baby, no, that foolishness. Whatever it does to make my baby feel good. I would pull out a lollipop from somewhere. We're going to get ice cream or donuts. Let me kiss the boo-boo. Remember the race. The boy falls. Talk to me. You better not. That goes on through life. Put some dirt on it. It goes on through life for a lot of our boys. I do counseling with couples. Women come to my office all the time. They'll say, hey, man, my fiance don't talk. I release women. I say, it's not your fault. For years, he's been conditioned to not share what's in his throat. Be strong, brother. Hey, man, hold it down for your mama. Suck it up, bro. My favorite one, man up. All of these things have been socialized for our males, particularly black males. Nobody wants to see us weak. Socialization. The second one, the power of words. I'm a prime example of how words matter. What you say to men determines how they feel. Y'all have heard the term, Carl mentioned it, dead broke, dead beat, that whole thing. I always ask two questions when I work with men. One is not, is he broke, but is he broken? A lot of brothers are broken, either with their own mom, mothers and sons, y'all know? That's a really special relationship, but if it's not catered, it could change his whole life. He'll run through 100 women trying to get at his mama. I'll snap for myself on that one. Okay. My mother used to say to me all the time as a boy, when she lost her keys, if she lost her other shoe, that boy can find anything. That's what I would be playing ball down the street. My nickname is Cootie. Don't repeat this. Cut the camera off. Okay. She would say, "Go get Cootie. I cannot find my keys. Go get Cootie." And I would appear, you know. What's missing, Mom? But she made me believe that I could find her keys or whatever. And I did not leave the house until I found it. That's the power of words. For our men, sometimes they've never heard somebody say, "I'm proud of you, bro." They used to "It's good to see you. It's good to hear your voice. Love when you come here." Those things change men more than any program that you can think about. Last thing is implicit bias. Systems for years have been set up to make men feel like they don't matter. I was in Texas. This lady introduced herself. She says, "I have 5 children, and one of them is my husband." Y'all ever heard this? I said a silent prayer for that brother. People have conditioned us. Y'all ever heard this saying? Happy wife. Y'all ever heard this? What does that say? Just stay with me for a second. What does that say? What does that say to a man? This brother give me an amen shout, yeah. Just think for a second about the socialization of marriage. And this white, black, I hear it all, I travel a good bit. A lot of people say that. And if you're not in tune, if your wife is not in tune, you'll be led to believe that you don't matter. Give that brother some water. Sprinkle it on your forehead, brother. But look, let me tell you, we need to be equally yoked. When we had a miscarriage, the way that my wife catered to me helped me to see that I matter. There's no way I could be in front of you for 25 years married to this woman if she had not treated me equally. She loves me in my lows and my highs. She doesn't laugh at me when I cry. She doesn't make me feel less than. Matter of fact, she makes me feel better. Healing is important for brothers. We have to create a space where they feel safe enough to say, "Man, I'm hurt. I'm hurt." But nobody wants to hear that. But you and I have an opportunity to create a space where that voice is recognized and not judged. It's two different things. All right? I'm going to close with these. Every dad has a story. I wouldn't guess about anybody in here, but I'm going to guess some of y'all don't know your father's real story. Find out. If he's gone, there's somebody who's going to tell the whole story. The blessing that I got from my mother, one of many, she never talked bad about my dad. Now, I do enough work with couples, they cannot wait for you to, let me holler at you for a second. You know what's about to come, right? They about to light your ears up with, she's a or he's a. My mother never talked a bad word about my father. That created a connection between me and him that only she could have managed. Every father has a story. Connect first. Find a way to connect with these men. When I do home visits, when I'm on Zoom, I'll ask guys, hey man, is that an 85 Cutlass out there in the front yard? And if it's shiny and clean, he going, oh yeah. That's the Z-top though, I'm connecting. I see you, and this is a tricky slope, but it's a very important slope. If he's got cowboy stuff, Dallas Cowboy stuff all in his house, this is not your chance to say, I hate the Cowboys. That's not going to create a bond. You might like the Cowboys, but be careful. But I'm always trying to find ways to connect. So I'll say, man, I see you a Cowboy fan. I don't say that like, challenging him. I'm creating a conversation. Always looking to see where he stands. You like the Cowboys? Okay. See, there we go. Point made. Connect first. Find a way to connect. My central point of connection with fathers is around their children. Do you want to do what happened to you, to your daughter? Most guys don't answer that question but one way. Hell no. It's okay. We got to do something different. They love being challenged, but after the connection has been made. All right? The third one is healing. It's a process. It's not an event. I'm the first to say some of the helpers are the most hurt people in the world. I'll say amen to myself on that one. There are a lot of broken folks who are trying to help folks. And I don't know if you know this, but if you ain't managed your stuff, it spills on the other people. So I encourage this as a corporate prayer, but let's get our own stuff together. I said stuff. Y'all heard stuff? It's important. Because the other saying is hurt people, what? Hurt people. I've been in rooms with caseworkers who say, child, I understand a deadbeat dad. This is a caseworker talking to a mom. You just co-sign. I have to pull him to, come on, man. What we doing here? All right? Forgiveness is key. I cannot speak about my father without talking about how his life ended. 20 years, my dad was a user. Bless you. I left South Carolina in 2003. I went to Washington, D.C. I was working for President Bush. I'm from the bricks of South Carolina. I saw some stuff. My dad would be in and out of these treatment facilities, and every time I would come in there, they say, oh, you Pat boy. No, I ain't got no name tag on. They say, oh, you Pat boy. yeah. He's down the hall, and I played sports. All of the memorabilia, articles in the paper, trophies, stuff, I don't know where that stuff is. I go to my dad's room, and he's got a portfolio of every article, every clipping, every little trophy. Now, he was transient. I'm using a professional word. But he kept stuff for all of his children. I assume he didn't care. That was not the case. I will never forget, I was 38 years old. I'm 48. My father and I sat down. He's later in life. He's not running the streets like he used to run. And he's a cigar smoker as well. So he introduced me to cigars. So we sitting down, and I'm now a man. If I'm smoking a cigar with my dad, it's a man-to-man conversation. He says to me, "Hey boy, I'm proud of you." He said, "You've done better than I thought you would." He said, "You stayed focused. You married that good gal. And you kept your nose clean." When I was in college, I don't drink beer today. Never have drank beer. Because I saw it. He said, "But I gotta say," he said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put y'all through that." And the years of wanting to fight him on sight, for some reason, what happened? It did like this. And I wasn't the best son. I don't want you to be misconstrued about this. I never disrespected my father, but I did ignore him. My wife, same thing. We had a voice machine in our apartment when we got married. My father would get drunk, and he would call me and leave a message. "Hey boy, call me." And in my darkest moments, I would say 2 words when I heard his voice on the machine. The second word was him. Y'all with me? And my wife would say, "You never know, Patrick. He might need you." So I'm grateful. So in those moments when I didn't call him back, I said back to him, and he said, "I'm sorry." I said, "I'm sorry." And this embrace it thawed out a bunch of stuff. I'm better. I ain't fully healed, but I'm better because I allowed the process to do what the process does. God has been good to me. I've been to 46 states, 8 countries doing this work. My dad is the reason. He's my inspiration. I could look at that thing a whole nother way, but I know I would not be before you without my father and our story. But forgiveness is key. And then the last thing is it's never too late. If you have a male in your family that has done this, he's been trying, he's been struggling, he's been hustling, he's been judged, man, text that brother, "I see you. I'm proud of you." Particularly if you know they're trying. The lowest cups that I run into are those of men. My wife sees a woman. I was complimenting you on your dress today. they off the muscle say, girl, that is bad. Brothers, I see your little shoes. I see your little, your little Tahoe. I mean, it ain't all that, you know what I mean? We are starving for love. Starving. And don't start with the men, start with the boys. I have an 8-year-old nephew. Since he was a baby, I have asked him to come to me and I whisper in his ear, "You're amazing." He's 8 now. When I go to South Carolina, I say, "Aiden, come here for a second." "I know, I'm amazing." But here's what I know. The world can't wait to tell him he's not. I'm trying to create a soundtrack. So when he's struggling, which he's going to face the world, you need to have that soundtrack that says, "I'm amazing." Really important. This visual here is how I want to close before I play one more video. It's a link right here, I don't know if you can click it, but it says some of us need to forgive our parents. Most of them have a childhood they need to heal from as well. Marinate on that one. My mother was molested. My mother was a domestic violence survivor. My dad beat my mom. My mother used to, literally, my dad would come home, he would be in a mood, he would point upstairs when we lived in the apartment. My mother would walk upstairs voluntarily, my mother was fair-skinned, get into a fight with this man, come back downstairs and fix his food. And our food, like nothing happened. We'd be downstairs hearing this. The legacy of trauma for our people is still present. I want us to recognize that our people are still healing. So when you see a brother who talked loud or a sister who got 3 baby daddies, the whole 9 yards, please put the judgment cap down. We all got stories, all right? This last video is how I like to close.
We were in contact with him for a while and then it just sort of vanished.
Just, yeah, over time, just,
Wow.
yeah, there's certainly a lot of answers that I need.
That you need.
Are you angry at him? Are you disappointed in him? Like, what are your
I know, I can't
feelings?
see it.
Was it me?
Yeah.
That's the big one.
So the moment of truth, Gad. Our private investigator has been working on this for several days. We have his number.
Okay.
Shall we give him a call?
Yeah, that'd be good.
You want to do it?
Speak to us.
I'm sorry.
Hello.
Dad,
How are you, buddy? You doing all right? Hey, it's all right, buddy. No, don't cry. You'll make me want to cry.
sorry. What are you doing up, man?
Right? I'm working, young fella. I'm at work, actually.
Are you?
Yeah.
Shit.
I get off in about 3 hours.
Yeah, okay.
That's not so bad. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Been a long time, buddy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Give him a hand, please.
Hello.
Dad.
How are you, buddy?
Gad has contacted us because he really wants help in finding his dad. Hey, Gad.
Hey, buddy.
Hey guys, how are we?
Very
Good.
good. Okay, so your
You know,
dad.
you know your dad. You've had a relationship with him in the past. He
Definitely
has
have.
been around.
Yep.
But over the last 7 years, is it? You've
I
lost
haven't spoken to him for about seven and a half years or so.
What happened there?
He set up a new life for himself in America.
He has,
And
yeah.
really dropped off the grid in terms of emails, shut down phones, no contact.
So you
has
were
been
in
made.
contact with him for a while, and then it just sort of just vanished.
Just over time, just
Wow.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of answers that I need.
That you need.
Are you angry at him? Are you disappointed in him? Like, what are your feelings?
Was it me?
Yeah.
That's the big one.
So the moment of truth, Gad. Our private investigator has been working on this for several days. We have his number.
Okay.
Shall we give him a call?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Do you want to do it?
Speak to us.
Hello.
Dad.
How are you, buddy? You doing all right? Hey, it's all right, buddy. Now, don't cry. You'll make me want to cry.
Sorry. What are you doing up, man?
Right? I'm working, young fella. I'm at work, actually.
Hiya.
Yeah. I get off in about 3 hours.
Yeah, okay.
That's not so bad. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Been a long time, buddy.
7 years, Dad.
Yeah, I know. 98. Well, sorry, 2008. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yep.
It's been 15 since I've seen you.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be away from your kids. So what have you been up to?
Trying to build a life for myself, mate.
Good.
Trying to do the right thing.
Good. How's Haley doing?
She's good.
I'm good, Mel. I'm here. How you going?
Oh, okay. I thought you'd be there.
Yeah.
I'm doing well, Haley. I'm doing well.
That's good.
You know, getting older every day, but otherwise I'm doing fine. You know, just working and going home.
Yeah. We've got your
Like
two
everyone.
grandkids here, Mel.
I
you-
wondered if I had some.
You've got two now,
That is wonderful.
Charlie and Ava.
Yeah, I've been wondering whether I've got any grandchildren. It's very difficult,
It is, mate. It is.
you know, but, you know, at least we're talking again, so that is the main thing.
Melvin, it's Kyle and Jackie O here. I know you're aware of the situation of what's going on. I guess Gad would love more than anything, I'm assuming, Gad, that you could open the channels to forming a relationship again and to,
Definitely.
you know, reconnecting.
I'd love that, you know. I lost track of everyone. I tried to get hold of my brothers. I can't find them anymore. I lost track of everybody. I had Gad's phone number there for a little while, and then it got disconnected. He must have changed his number, and that was about the last I heard.
And have you thought about in
You
this
know,
time of wanting to contact Gad?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'll stop it there, respectful of time, but it's never too late.